think everyone loves Amber, right? He has the coolest voice, and he has a cool horse that is not an alpaca. But is he really that good? In previous videos, I said he was pretty good, and it turns out he is pretty good. So let's have him go fight a guy. So this is an early Amber. I think Lyn is actually one of Amber's best emblems, and for low investment, you get a pretty good damage unit that needs almost nothing to one round. So right now he has a Steel Lance with a Marth engraving, which has a little bit of crits, but he's almost one rounding without Lance power here, which is pretty good because this is just after chapter 13. So we haven't really made too much progress, no strength boosters used or anything like this. But with Lyn and Speed Plus, he is fast enough to double, but the big advantage of Amber is he has average speed growth and average speed, but very high strength. He has 45% strength growth, if I recall correctly. So let's actually pull that up because I have that off to the side here. Yeah, 45% strength growth, 35% speed, and most importantly, 15% build growth. Now on Paladin, which is his default class that he wants to go into, he gets 15% more strength, putting him at 60% strength growth, 15% more speed, putting him at 45% speed growth. He also has decent defense growth. Let me see if Paladin gives him... This is one thing I'm curious about. All right, Paladin doesn't give build, but it does give him... It puts him at 80% health growth. So he's going to be a pretty bulky unit, and in terms of dex, he gets plus 10 dex from Paladin, 35 dex total. Lyn also increases dex and speed. Now, I am running speed plus 3. He might not need this long term, but just with like Lance power, he'll be one rounding off of might throughout most, if not all, of the game, which is pretty good. And he has very high build, so he can get away with running some heavy weapons. So right now, he's at 9 build, but if he levels up 30 times in a playthrough, or I'm sorry, 20 times through a playthrough, he'll be plus 3 build. So he'll be at 12 build, roughly speaking, which is kind of crazy to think about because he could actually use the spear. The spear is pretty heavy, right? Like the weapon spear, you know? Let's look at it. I think I have one in my convoy. Yeah, so the spear is 15 weight. So if you were to reduce its weight maybe slightly, or just have him, you know, leverage his high speed, being -3 speed on spear is pretty significant. Look at the damage difference between these two. Now, obviously, you can upgrade Javelin to get to near spear damage, but the spear is pretty powerful, so he could use a weightless spear potentially as like a main weapon. That's pretty interesting, actually, because like a lot of units can't, like a lot of units don't have the build, right? So even though his speed is average, his build is high, and that kind of compensates because that allows him to scale up his damage. So as long as he gets speed fixed, he is basically going to be killing pretty easily off of his might. And 60% strength growth is no joke. That's pretty high. Alright, so he doesn't have Alacrity plus yet. He didn't crit there. But let's compare him to like my other units. Like, let's see what this does. So 18 damage once. Now obviously I don't have Lyn. But this is an Alir. I guess this Alir doesn't have speed plus. It's kind of random. This Anna definitely does. Alright, so let's compare him to this Anna using her killing edge. So she's not doubling. She is on speed plus 3. She has sword power 3 as well. So same enemy. Same enemy. She's not doubling it though. She's gonna need speed plus 5 and more speed over time, but obviously she rolled a crit here. It still didn't kill though. So it's like similar damage output. But he's a pretty good unit for low investment. Like I just gave him Lyn and speed plus 3. That's it. And he's getting this result on Steel Lance. Now, Steel Lance is weaker than Fensalar, and Fensalar plus 5 is very easy to forge early on. So if this was a Fensalar plus 5 with Marth, this would be dead. This enemy would be dead 1000%. But I'm just running Steel Lance for the hell of it. I actually have an unupgraded Fensalar in my inventory. And then Chloe has Wadao plus for no reason, just for fun. It's literally just for fun. Just because it looks cool. It looks cool, I wanted to use it. She'll get sword power eventually. She's a utility unit, whatever. But honestly, Amber is way better than it seems. I'm almost tempted to make him like an S tier unit, like to claim he's S tier, right? I feel like he is at this point. Now right now he's about to die because I just put him in range of this guy and he hasn't been healed, and Chloe could have healed him, so let's have that happen instead. Let's have her heal him instead of killing this guy. Let's have her do what she's supposed to do. All right, take a mend. You know what? Take a treat. There you go. Yeah, take a treat, take a mend. Here, give him a heal. This is why you're here, Chloe. I don't know why you're killing things right now. She's here as damage support slash utility. But honestly, Amber is legit. And his passive is pretty good too. So let's look at his passive. Hit plus 20 if neither you or the foe is adjacent to anything. Now he loses a void during this. Hit plus 20. So this is during combat. So interestingly enough, this can enemy phase. So he can give himself hit plus 20. And right now his hit really isn't bad. This doesn't improve hit, so his hit on, obviously Lynn's giving him, you know, plus 2 dex, but his dex on Paladin isn't terrible, so his hit rate isn't really that bad. It's not like abysmal, and Lances have decent hit rate, so you could easily get him like hit fixing. You could run like Marth, Leaf, Lucina, Lynn, any of these engravings will be fine, even Byleth probably. Byleth is going to increase your weight on the weapon, but as he gets build, the weight increase would be negligible. It wouldn't do anything. You would just get some hit increase and a little bit of crit, because that's what Byleth gives. But honestly, I think he's a really good unit. Like I know a lot of LTCers use him and swear by him. I think people just don't like him because of his voice, but he's legit. Now, if this Steel Lance was a killer lance with a crit engraving and he's doubling, he could be a monster. He could be like 60 to 70 crit without any like wrath or anything like that, just like going for doubling crits and just kill off of that. And then his other passive could be whatever you want. It could be like Canter or something. So he could be like speed plus 5, Canter, killer lance. Actually, he might not even need speed plus if you run crits. Like if we get Lynn bond level 20, he's speed plus 5, and then with Speed Taker. So speed plus 5 gets him to 19 speed. Speed Taker gets him to 29 speed. This is at level like 15, roughly speaking. So it is possible that long term you could just run nothing but like Lynn, and then his passive slots are both optional. That's a powerful build. That's S tier, to be honest. This is a really good use of Lynn too. He also has high strength, so he usually can one-run things off of Astra, which is kind of nice. I'm trying out a new Tamara build. It's a crit build. It's a crit build. She needs Lance Power still, but it's a crit Wrath build. We'll try it out. I hear so much hype about, you know, the Panette crit Wrath, so let's try Tamara crit Wrath for fun. But yeah, honestly, Amber is pretty cracked. He might even be S tier. He's low investment, really good stats, really good passive. He just seems bad because he starts off in a map where there's a bunch of like fast enemy flyers that have good avoid, so his hit rates are like 70 to 80. But once he gets a good engraving, he's going to hit consistently, and he has really good bases and strength growth, as well as just like a good frame and really good health growth. His defense growth is quite good too. On Paladin, I think he's 45%. Actually, he's 50% defense growth. This dude is really good, yo. And also, if you want to throw him on Warrior he gets 5% more build and puts him at 20% build growth, which is 2 points of build per 10 level ups on fixed mode. That's pretty cracked. And also Warrior gives higher strength. So here, let's do this. I'll show it. I'll just show like what it looks like, the class change. So Amber Warrior is very good, honestly. Now, obviously axes have lower hit rate, but so you're going to be relying on that hit fixing engraving. That's typical of axe units. That's not like out of the ordinary. Very few axe units, unless it's like Kagetsu or something who has an unnaturally high dex, can accurately hit with axes. So if we put him, so on hero, I'm just curious what he looks like on hero. He gets 1 more speed. He could be a good hero too. He would be a really good hero, really good paladin. On Halberdier, he loses build and loses speed. I would keep him off that. You could put him on Halberdier though, and just like completely ignore the speed aspect and just go for pincers and then run crit otherwise. Like Wrath, Killer Lance with crit engraving, easily hit like 70 to 100 crit rate, and then go for pincers when you don't have Wrath set up. So you have like optional 1 rounds. Crit weapons are pretty easy to build. Bow Knight, yeah, I feel like he loses too much build to be good on that. General, I wouldn't do that. Great Knight. Great Knight's interesting, but it's kind of slow, so. All right, Paladins are decent. On Wyvern, this is interesting too. Now on Wyvern, he gets less speed from his level ups than he would if he were on Paladin, but on Wyvern, he does get 1 more base speed at the cost of a build. So if you're using a weight 8 or less weapon, Wyvern could be a better option. Honestly, he would be a really good Wyvern. But Paladin is actually pretty good. There's some pretty good average stats here. Royal Knight, I wouldn't put him on. Seems like a waste. So here's him on Warrior. So Warrior, he gets to 24 strength. So 24 strength is Panette's base strength on Warrior, which is pretty good because by the time you get her, you can easily get him to her level. So you basically just have 2 Panettes. Now she has a better passive and she has better stats in general for Warrior. Like her bases are just better. But if you want to have a second Panette, or if you want to just have another solid beater unit that just has, you know, longbow support for backups, good strength, decent accuracy with a hit engraving, and good damage output, you can't go wrong with Warrior. I think he does make Paladin look good though. Like he is quite a good Paladin. It has pretty good stats. Now him on Wolf Knight is also an interesting idea. Look at the build, 8 build on Wolf Knight. He would make a fantastic Wolf Knight. So Wolf Knight gives you 5% strength, so he'd be at 50% strength, which is very substantial. Every 10 level ups, it's 5 points of strength. And it also gives you 20% speed, so that'd put him at, I think 50% speed, but he still has that 15 build. So that allows him to hit like 9 and 10 build easily, allowing him to use heavier weapons, which could be substantial. But the thing with Wolf Knight is it usually lacks damage, so like him on like Lance Wolf Knight would be pretty cracked, honestly. I've ran something similar on Alfred, who's a much worse unit, and it was good. So if Alfred can make Wolf Knight work with his strength growth and like lower strength growth and lower base strength, Amber would completely destroy it. Wolf Knight also gives, I think, like 15 dex growth too. Let's see. Yeah, 15 dex, 20 speed. It gives less defense, but it gives 20 res, which is something he's lacking. And it gives 10% health, so it'd be 75% HP growth, 50% strength. And then his dex would be 40%, so a little bit higher. So kind of, Wolf Knight kind of complements him the best, but Paladin isn't a bad option. Both are very good. Now, obviously, with Wolf Knight, you could run like a Steel Dagger +5 or like Silver Dagger +3 to 4 and get that big dagger damage because he actually does have the strength to back it up. So if you put him on like Ike, he might be a good Ike tank, honestly. Oh, what's his defense? His defense is 11 on Wolf Knight. Let's look at Marin. What's Marin's base defense? 12. Okay. So he'd be a little bit weaker than Marin. Now he's like level 15 right now, and I think she's like internal. She might be internal level 15. Tamara's level 18, so it might be the case that she's internal level 18. I don't know. If someone knows, just drop a comment. But he has higher strength than her. She has higher speed though. So like him on Wolf Knight, he would be, I think it was like 17 speed. Griffin Knight's an interesting, he could make physical Griffin work too. He can make physical Griffin and physical Wolf Knight work really well. So he'd be significantly slower than her, but he has a little bit more strength than her. 15 strength versus, I think he was at 18. So he's +3 strength, but I think -5 speed. So now she's very fast. She's like another Kagetsu. She's basically Kagetsu with like 2 or 3 less strength. And everyone knows he's like a really good combat unit. But Amber's honestly at least high A tier, low S tier. And for minimal investment, you can get a combat carry, which to me, that's what S tier is. If it's really good for free, or if it's really good with some investment and the payoff is huge. So like investing in Anna, for example, the payoff is huge, right? Because you get free money. She's already made me like 5K this run at 10 luck, basically. She's already made me 5K. From just using her. Now I have this energy drop on her because I'm debating on if I want to use it or not. I haven't used any stat boosters yet in this playthrough, but she's been killing things with this killing edge +5. It needs Corrin engraving, and once it has that, because she's already accurate, so she shouldn't really have hit problems, but once she gets that, she should be, you know, critting like a madman essentially. But yeah, that's it for this one. Just want to talk about Amber. I think he is pretty good. Or really good, really. In previous videos, I think I put him at A tier, and it's like, oh my god, Amber's like A tier. But honestly, I think he's even better than that. He's like effortlessly really good. For like little investment, you get a really good combat unit. So yeah, definitely like and subscribe if you enjoyed this or found this interesting. Feel free to drop a comment as to what Amber builds you run. and you can outline like what they do, what they're going for. We do live stream here, because I'm multiple people. We live stream from Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. EST, and then sometimes there's a second stream at around 3 to 4 on some days. I always announce the stream schedule under the community posts or whatever. So yeah, thanks for checking this out. Peace.